Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Mudassir Iqbal, so I've come all the way from Huddersfield because I can't make the Bradford event this Sunday. So I really want to thank the whole panel, but especially Auntie Sabina. I have to call you Auntie. That's from my culture, and I do feel that your father was my spiritual grandfather, whom inspired me to be a political activist in my local area as well. But my question, so as Dr. Wajid alluded on to the qualities of a leader, you have first-hand experience seeing how he was in those days when he would come home maybe, or did he ever come home? What was his temperament like in dealing with all that situation? And maybe that could be the greatest advice for anyone in this room who wants to be a leader.
Thank you so much. We'll go to the question at the back of the hall. Sister at the back, right at the back near the door.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for all the amazing speeches. Big fan of you all. My question is, what keeps you hopeful? I think in this era of polycrises, it's easy to want to give up. So yeah, what keeps you hopeful in your plights to make things better?
Thank you.
My question is very similar to the first one. How important is leadership in the modern Muslim world? Because there is a great deficit in the whole lot at this point of time. They're very similar.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So what I'll do, I'll ask each of the speakers to respond in 1 or 2 minutes, respond to all the questions. The question about your father's temperament, maybe you can answer that first, Auntie Sabina, and then about giving hope in young people. I think all the panelists can answer that question. And I think with that comes women, the role of women also, and what makes a good leader, and also to deal with the threat of the far right. How do we respond? Can we do more than just being angry? So let's start with you, Sabina, about your father and his temperament.
I think that he had this kind of a combination of huge patience and personal strength. That's what I have witnessed on many occasions, because that was obvious. But I analyze him now, you know, in hindsight, I remember how, even with us kids, he was at the same time very patient and very strong. And later on, I could see that throughout his life, especially during the war, when he forced himself to keep patience while still being a strong leader. And those two do not exclude each other. So those two qualities, in a way, are compatible as far as I can see. So that would be just a brief answer. Even in the most difficult moments, he kept his strength and his patience. I believe that it had to do with his faith, probably.
Thank you. So, Sheikh Abdul Hakim, so do you want to respond to the other questions about the need to respond to the far right, but how do we respond in young leadership?
It can help to look, say, at some of their descriptions of their own journeys. J.D. Vance, the American vice president, just published a kind of spiritual autobiography in which he says one of the triggers for his conversion to Catholicism was his encounters with Islam in Iraq, because he fought in the Iraq War, and seeing women in hijab reading Quran, and that made him question his identity because he was so impressed by these people. But obviously the mosques in America and the mosques around the world are not really gearing up for da'wah and don't really have a discourse that is accessible to people like that. A book like this might well be a useful point of access for them. But most of our mosques, those people came to these countries for dunya, and the first hadith in Bukhari is, whoever migrates for dunya, basically dunya will get him. If you migrate for Allah and his messenger, you will get Allah and his messenger. So we need a niyyah reset, and that will completely change the atmosphere, because people are coming to Islam. And as the questioner suggested, sometimes the rise of these forms of anti-Muslim mania makes people think about Islam and take it more seriously. Just one anecdote. On the day of the Southport riots in our mosque in Cambridge, the police said, we're keeping an eye on you. We suggest you have full-time security. Keep an eye on people coming and going. I was there at the entrance to the mosque, and this English skinhead comes in, tattoos, piercings, looking quite rough. And he didn't look as if he was at home, and he's looking around. And we thought, shall we escort him from the premises? But he came over to the information desk and he said, I want to convert to Islam, please. So don't underestimate anybody. The Sheikh say, anybody that you meet, imagine it could be Al-Khidr. It's not them and us. It's people who have responded to the call and people who should be given the call. And so many people are coming to Islam at the moment, and every mosque should have a da'wah committee. Every mosque should see its reason for existence in England being to call the local people to Islam. People are, as Vance says in his books, really desperate for some serious religion, not some hyper, up-to-date, woke, diluted nonsense, just another way of being modern, but a genuine focus on conservatism, on neighborhood, on family, on tradition, on respect for the elderly, on belief in God. That's what human beings crave, and we should be sharing that with our neighbors. And most of our mosques will face a hard reckoning on the Yawm al-Qiyamah because they're not doing that. Allah will call them to account.
Thank you so much. Because of the time, Sarah, just maybe 30 seconds, quick response if you can.
On the far right.
Or the other issues.
What keeps me hopeful is that hope is the quality of the believer. Iblis comes from the word ablasa, to despair. So the notion of despair is the quality of Iblis. So hope is the quality of a believer. So even when I really feel very far from hopeful, I have to remember that that is the quality of Iman. And so we must remain hopeful. And everything and all power belongs to Allah. In relation to the far right rising, yes, there are malign actors, these billionaires who are funding hate, etc., and those malign actors, with the algorithms and etc., etc. But I think also there's just a lot of good people that are feeling that they themselves have been tremendously ill-treated by successive generations of governments, and we actually have a message of hope to deliver to them, and we'll be surprised how they may turn and their hearts may turn, because all hearts are with and guidance is from Allah. And you think after 9/11 and during the Gaza situation, so many people have embraced Islam in these moments, in these times, and we have to do the work as we have to do the work to show that Islam is a vision and it's beautiful. In relation to leadership and decision making, and the brother was there, what are the qualities? I think just look at Surah Asr for nothing else. That human beings, we're lost except for those who believe, those who do good works, those who call one another to truth, and those one another to patience, perseverance. And so it's a collective action, this working together to call one another to truth. Baroness O'Neill said in the Wreath lecture when we was talking about trustworthiness, it's not just a question of appearing trustworthy, it's a question of being trustworthy. So it's a question of not just appearing truthful, but being truthful. And we call one another, so it's about working together. We can't just be by ourselves. Leadership is not a lone sport. I think that was it. 30 seconds.
That's fine. Thank you. We'll cap it there. Thank you so much. Because of time, I'm going to round up now. First of all, thank you all for coming, especially Sabina for taking the trouble to be with us tonight. You've been a real light here. People really feel the warmth of your presence here. And we hope everyone will take a copy of the book today and learn the lessons. Also, the other panelists, Dr. Wajid, Sheikh Abdul Hakim, Sarah Joseph, the ambassador, and our guests joining online. Thank you all for coming and sharing your wisdom and experiences. And the audience, of course, you've braved the heat to come here and stay for 2 hours. I hope you found it useful and beneficial knowledge from everyone. Let me conclude by saying tomorrow is an important day for the Bosnian Muslims and the world over. Tomorrow, after 31 years, 10 more Muslim bodies have been identified through DNA, and they have been returned to their families. And tomorrow, they'll be buried. A janazah will be tomorrow in Srebrenica and Potocari. And their names are very important for us to remember and know. On the screen, you can see their names. It's important that we remember them, that after 31 years, families are still finding bodies. Imagine the anguish and the pain. This is happening in the heart of Europe. And it looks like we have not learned the lessons because it is still happening in other parts of the world. So please look at the names and share it with your friends and family. I think Sarah had a quick point on that.
It's just go go to Srebrenica. Go on the 11th of July if you can, participate in the funeral, because DNA remains are found every year, because they're constantly finding pieces, and sometimes the bodies are re-exhumed and reburied, so you're having funerals constantly. Go on the 11th of July. Go to Bosnia. Take your family on holiday there. It is a beautiful, beautiful country. Wear the rosette. Go into stores, and you will see people who will come up to you and they say, do you know what this is? And we'll say, yes. And they say, where are you from? And you'll say, I'm from London, I'm from Huddersfield, I'm from... and they're like, you know? And you will have these conversations and they will weep with you. Go, support the economy, support the people, and know that their stories are still with us in the UK and they will never die.
Thank you, Sarah, for that beautiful conclusion.